As someone with Hashimoto's, I probably don't need to tell you how difficult it can be to get your condition under control. Whether you're stuck in the sit and wait model, or you're just trying desperately to find your ideal dose of thyroid medication, you have probably asked yourself if there's a better way. And the answer to this question is a resounding yes. Taking the right supplements offer patients with Hashimoto's a near surefire way to get control of their disease. Now, I'm not saying that supplements will put your disease into remission, though some patients have reported that this occurs. But doesn't it make sense to at least give them a try given their safety record and the studies that show that they can be beneficial? I think so, which is why today I want to talk about the most powerful and most effective supplements that can be used if you have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Zinc is number one on the list, and the reason is simple. Not only does it play a role in regulating your immune system, which is important for patients with autoimmune thyroid disease, but it also supports thyroid function. When you combine this with the fact that hypothyroid patients eliminate extra zinc through their kidneys, many patients with Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism end up deficient in this important mineral. It's hard to get an exact estimate, but based on several studies, I would say it's probably around 30% of you listening to this right now. Supplementing with zinc is a no-brainer if you have Hashimoto's for 4 reasons. The first is that zinc is required for the conversion of inactive T4 thyroid hormone to active T3 thyroid hormone. In other words, if your zinc is low, your T3 may be low as well. The second is that zinc can help reduce inflammation and may act as a novel anti-inflammatory agent all on its own. The third is that zinc is necessary for the regulation of your immune system. And the fourth is that zinc is also needed for hair growth. Now, hair growth is not unique to patients with Hashimoto's, but since many of you listening to this would probably not mind if you had more hair growth, this is just an added bonus. But before you run out and purchase a zinc supplement, there are a couple things you need to know about the form and the dose. Because not all formulations of zinc are created equal. If you have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, you'll want to use one of these forms: zinc chelate, zinc monomethionine, zinc gluconate, zinc acetate, or zinc citrate. All of these are just about as equally good as one another, so pick the one that works best for you. No matter what though, make sure you stay away from zinc oxide. This is the cheapest form of zinc and is inferior to all the other forms I just mentioned. Zinc dosing is a little more controversial, with standard recommendations ranging anywhere from 5 all the way up to 60 milligrams. My recommendation is to stay on the lower end of this range for 2 reasons. Number 1, the body can only absorb about 5 to 10 milligrams of zinc at any given time. And number 2, the higher doses in the 30 to 60 milligram range often result in unwanted symptoms like nausea and heartburn. Number 2 is selenium. And like zinc, selenium is another fantastic mineral to take if you have Hashimoto's. Not only does it protect your thyroid gland from oxidative stress, it also supports thyroid function through its actions on selenoproteins. These selenoproteins regulate major systems in your body like your liver, your brain, and your thyroid. If that wasn't enough, there are several other studies which show that supplementing with selenium can actually help reduce thyroid antibody levels. Before you run out and start pounding down selenium, you should know this. It's much easier than you might think to accidentally take more selenium than you need, and taking excess will only serve to cloud your thyroid management picture. You'll find that some providers recommend doses of selenium as high as 400 to 500 micrograms per day. But my recommendation is to stay on the lower end in the range of 100 to 200 micrograms per day from all sources, including foods. This prevents accidental toxicity, which again can cause more harm than good, and allows some wiggle room in case you have more selenium in your diet, which, by the way, is the preferred way to obtain it. As far as forms go, you'll want to look for selenomethionine or selenium glycinate complex, which are the best. And if you're going to take selenium, you might as well combine it with zinc for even better benefits. Number 3 on the list is adrenal support. Don't think you're somebody who needs adrenal support? Think again. I have yet to meet a patient with Hashimoto's who didn't also have problems with stress and, as a result, cortisol. This is for several reasons. The first is that thyroid hormone and cortisol appear to be linked, such that when one goes down, it'll take the other with it. The second is that the imbalances in thyroid hormone that occur in hypothyroidism result in the excretion of nutrients which normally serve to buffer against stress. And the third is that stress also negatively impacts thyroid function, which perpetuates this whole cycle. And the main issue here is that treating your thyroid doesn't treat your adrenals and won't necessarily fix your cortisol. Luckily for us, we have amazing herbal and botanical ingredients called adaptogens that can be taken in supplement form. These adaptogens act by helping your body adapt to stress. And numerous studies have shown that they not only have a beneficial effect on your energy and your cortisol, but also your thyroid. There are tons to choose from here, but here are 3 of my favorites. The first is maca root. In addition to its actions as an adaptogen, maca root also helps to increase libido as well as balance sex hormones. The second is ashwagandha. In addition to its actions as an adaptogen, it also helps with muscle recovery and weight loss. And contrary to popular belief, yes, ashwagandha is perfectly safe to take if you have Hashimoto's, and I've written about that in the past if you want to read more about it. Finally, we have rhodiola. In addition to improving and enhancing vitality, it also happens to be the best for fatigue, at least in my opinion. In addition to adrenal adaptogens, you can also think about adding adrenal glandulars. These adrenal glandulars are sourced from the actual adrenal gland of cows and provide enzymes, prohormones, and building blocks that you can't get from any other source. Combining adrenal adaptogens along with adrenal glandulars provides powerful support to your adrenals and your thyroid. Number 4 are prebiotics as well as probiotics. Hashimoto's is first and foremost a disease of your immune system. And given that 70% of your immune system resides in your gut, it makes sense that a functioning gut is pretty important for this group of people. But this isn't the only reason you should care about your gut. It also happens to play a role in regulating thyroid hormone levels by acting as a reservoir for T3. Whether you're interested in optimizing your immune system or optimizing thyroid function, your gut matters. Many people know they need to support their gut, they just don't know how. And this is why we're talking about probiotics and prebiotics, because these represent one of the easiest ways to do just that. While they won't treat infections like H. pylori, which happens to be very important if you have Hashimoto's, they do provide general benefits to your overall gut and overall body, which are too good to ignore. Some of these benefits include the crowding out of pathogenic species found inside of your gut, thereby promoting better microbiome diversity, supporting the immune system directly by helping to increase immunoglobulins, protecting the integrity of your intestinal lining, thereby treating conditions like leaky gut, and by stimulating the growth and repair of your intestinal cells. For best results, you'll want to use a combination of probiotics, including soil-based organisms. These species are known to populate the gut and provide long-term benefits. Lacto and bifido species. These species provide short-term benefits but do not populate the intestinal tract. And beneficial yeast like Saccharomyces boulardii. This yeast provides immune-boosting properties which are ideal for patients with Hashimoto's. When choosing a probiotic, look for one that has both high diversity in species as well as high dosing. This means taking a probiotic that has at least 50 billion CFU per serving, as well as at least 10 different species. Number 5 is vitamin D3 with vitamin K2. Looking purely at the numbers, we see that approximately 1 billion people in the world are deficient in vitamin D. And research tells us that thyroid patients are more prone to developing vitamin D deficiency compared to the average population. The reason for this has to do with the fact that the low thyroid state impairs vitamin D absorption. In addition to this, the low thyroid state also happens to impair the activation of vitamin D if it does make it into your body. Research is also clear on the negative effects that vitamin D deficiency has on your thyroid, and the results aren't pretty. Thyroid patients with low levels of vitamin D are at increased risk for developing thyroid cancer, developing Hashimoto's thyroiditis, or making it worse if you already have it, having abnormal thyroid lab tests, and developing Graves' disease. The good news is that optimizing your vitamin D is a piece of cake. All you need to do is check your 25-hydroxy vitamin D level, and if needed, supplement with vitamin D3. The dose that you will need will depend on your lab results, but most people need somewhere around 2,000 to 10,000 IUs per day. If you don't want to wait to get your labs drawn, you can pretty safely take the shotgun approach, which means just taking 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3 every day. Just realize that it is better if you get your labs tested first. And if you're going to take vitamin D3, then you might as well throw vitamin K2 along with it. Vitamin K2 provides special benefits to calcium shuttling, bone health, and heart health, all of which are beneficial to patients with Hashimoto's. It's worth noting here that vitamin D supplementation, while incredibly beneficial, takes a long time to take effect. Research shows that many of the benefits of vitamin D supplementation occur after 2 to 3 years of daily use. But given how cheap it is, don't let this deter you. Number 6 is black seed oil or Nigella sativa. Very few supplements that we've talked about so far have the backing of a double-blind placebo-controlled trial, but this one does. What is Nigella sativa? It's the plant that produces black seeds and ultimately black seed oil. This oil contains powerful polyphenolic and bioactive compounds, which have powerful effects on both thyroid function and the immune system. The double-blind placebo-controlled trial that I just mentioned showed that taking Nigella sativa at 2 grams per day over the course of 8 weeks resulted in decreased body weight as measured by BMI, decreased TSH levels, decreased thyroid peroxidase and thyroglobulin antibodies, and decreased VEGF levels. Most notable here is obviously the change in antibodies. The 20 patients who took Nigella sativa saw that their antibody level decreased from around 300 down to 150 over 8 weeks. That's roughly a 50% drop, which is absolutely astounding. This was combined with a drop in TSH of 2 whole points. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but I would estimate that's roughly the equivalent to about 25-ish or so micrograms of levothyroxine. And remember, this is all natural. This isn't a medication. While you can certainly mimic the study by using Nigella sativa powder, I believe that black seed oil provides similar and even better benefits because you have more control over the dose and the titration of other ingredients found in the oil. But the biggest downside to this therapy is its flavor. But given its remarkable benefits, I think it's worth tolerating. These supplements aren't magic, but they do have the potential to help. And they aren't even the only thing that you can try if you have Hashimoto's. Changing your diet is another thing that you can do to help put your condition into remission. And if you want to see the best diets that have been shown to do just that, then I'd recommend checking out this video next.